Yeah, so I actually, had a similar, at least, thought process to the start of yours that really the culmination of Thanksgiving is the pie. And I also thought that we should probably make the pie a little more front and center in this whole thing. And I was trying to figure out, even outside of Thanksgiving dinner, what are other ways can we increase the pie presence in Thanksgiving? So the first thing I thought of is the first thing you kind of do on Thanksgiving, which is the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I really try to figure out a way to make a float out of pie. Or not a float, sorry, a balloon out of pie. And you can't, obviously, that's not going to work. What you might be able to do, so it is theoretically possible, maybe, to make a meringue that floats. So when you're making a meringue, what you're doing really is like whipping egg whites and then getting air incorporated in them. And that's what makes them, sort of light, like the way they are. Conceivably, if you had a like sealed kitchen that was full of a gas that was lighter than air, and you whipped it in that and then baked it in an oven full of that gas, conceivably, you could make a lighter than air meringue.
Is the meringue airtight?
Ben, that is actually would be an amazing product.
It would be great. To answer Chris's question, I don't think a meringue is airtight. So I don't think it would float for very long. And possibly not at all. I could not find anyone who'd actually tried it.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, for hopefully obvious reasons, I can't find anyone who's tried this. It would
If you ate a meringue filled with helium, would your voice get squeaky?
So it's funny you asked that, because the way I actually found this, that wasn't the question they were, or the hypothesis they were proposing. They were saying that if you had some made with helium and some made with xenon, helium makes it higher pitched, xenon makes it lower pitched. They were saying that because the meringues would be full of that gas, they would actually crunch at higher and lower pitches. And if you use different proportions, you could make an organ that you play by eating meringues.
Wait, this was
What?
an article?
This was a theory. From what's
This was science?
No, it was definitely not science.
Was it on like a forum or something? Where'd you
It's this
find it?
website called Half Bakery. It's
I love it.
It's just like weird ideas, basically. It's weird ideas that are not particularly thought through. So there's that. You might be able to make a meringue float that, would last for a short amount of time before it comes crashing to the ground.
The crunch is slightly higher.
The crunch is slightly higher. Yeah. So there's that idea. But obviously that can't be my entire answer, because there is no way to go into any sort of depth on this.
Well, yeah, because it floats.
Because it floats.
You can only go up.
Right, exactly. So I decided to go in a different direction. And I think probably more so for me than either of you, another big part of Thanksgiving is football. There's always 3 football games on Thanksgiving. Generally, at least at my family's house, we'll start eating around halftime of the first one, and then kind of like, drift back in during the second one and, lie around for a while in a food coma and then eat pie around the end of the second one. So not only is football a big part of my Thanksgiving, it's also pretty linked to the pie, right? And I decided to make a more direct link by making a football stadium-sized pie.
It's a big pie.
It is a very large pie. So the first question is, what stadium should we use? Because our goal here is basically just use the stadium itself as our pie dish. We ran into a problem here because most NFL stadiums, there's kind of 2 issues. One, some of them are domes. That doesn't work, obviously, because you can't put a pie crust in a dome. It's just going to be on top. That's stupid. It's not a pie. Then most of them aren't really circles. They're kind of just like weird, like flat ovals. And they're also far too tall most of the time. You're not going to have like structural integrity if your pie is too tall. It's just going to collapse outwards. So eventually what I landed on was the Rose Bowl, it's actually UCLA's, currently UCLA, the UCLA Bruin football team stadium. It's in Pasadena, California. It's almost 100 years old. It was opened in 1922. It's not quite a circle. It's like 100 feet further in diameter, like north to south than east to west, but it's as close as we're going to get. And that's, I think, pretty close enough to a circle for our purposes.
I mean, you're not gonna get a stadium that's a complete circle, because football stadiums are not Like, they're rectangles.
Well, I mean, this is pretty close. Like, this
Yeah,
is as close as you're gonna get. So, and yes, this is a college football stadium. NFL football is what's played on Thursday on Thanksgiving. However, the Rose Bowl has actually hosted 5 Super Bowls, so I'm calling it a part-time NFL stadium and therefore valid for this question.
Good job finding a loophole in the rules you made up.
Oh yeah, it's what we do here. It's almost exclusively what we do here, actually. So, how close are these dimensions? So, a pie dish is somewhere between 9 to 9.5 inches in diameter and 1 1/4 to 1/2 inches deep. The Rose Bowl is not quite a perfect circle. It's 880 feet north to south and then 695 feet east to west. So, I guess it's like 175 feet longer than it is wide. But that's pretty close, once again, all things considered. And that averages out to like 787 feet overall, if we're saying it's, roughly a circle. Weirdly, I couldn't get a good source on the height of the Rose Bowl. If you Google Rose Bowl height, the little like quick info box on Google pops up and says 100 feet, but gives no source. And clicking through links, I could find no source for that. I found links to people questioning why Google said it was 100 feet, but no one who would actually confirm it was 100 feet. I compared that to like other stadiums that I could find more reliable heights on, and it seemed at least relatively accurate. My best guess is actually it's coming from like Google Earth data, but once again, I couldn't find an actual source. I'm going to say it's 100 feet. It seems close enough. So, given that pie dish dimension of like 9 to 9.5 by 1 1/4 to 1.5, the ratio between the diameter of the pie dish and the depth of it is somewhere from 6 to 1 and 7.6 to 1. And using those dimensions for the Rose Bowl, we're actually at 7.87 to 1. So it basically is a pie dish, just, much, much larger. So if we're going to make this pie, what's that actually entail? So the surface area of a normal pie dish, just, like a 9-inch pie dish, is 9,450 square inches. That's not right. What? How did I do this? Wait, what did I... Google? Wait, hold on. What did I do? Jesus. All right, hold on. Oh, did I multiply that to... Oh, god damn it. All right. A standard just 9-inch pie dish, the surface area is about 63 square inches. The Rose Bowl, the surface area is about 70,128,000 square inches. So that means that our like pie crust area is roughly 1.113 million times larger than a standard pie. We're going to call it a million times just for simplicity, because I don't want to deal with the math. And also that math is a little hazy anyway, so let's...
It's based on 100 feet high Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Actually,
and by hazy, do you mean the part we just cut out of you frantically redoing your math?
No, that's actually not even the part I mean. What I mean is related to Chris's point, which is that I'm kind of ignoring the actual interior area because I don't know the exact dimensions of the Rose Bowl. I only know rough ones. So
your surface area is going to increase because you have ridges for every seat.
Yeah, well, I'm also just basically pretending that both are just circles and using that surface area. I'm not actually using 3-dimensional. So it's hazy all around, but we're pretty close. Pretty close is good enough. The one tricky thing is that a standard pie crust is only about 1/8 of an inch thick, like when you bake it. Clearly, it's going to have to be thicker than that for structural integrity. So that 1/8 of an inch thick, on a like 1.5 inch deep pie crust is roughly 2.5% of the overall depth of the pie. So with that 100-foot depth, we need a thickness of about 2.5 feet, which is 240 times thicker than a standard pie crust. So that means that our pie crust just recipe is going to have to be, 1 million times the area and 240 times thicker. So it's going to be basically 240 million batches of pie crust, which is going to require 600 million cups, which is about 160 million pounds of flour, 240 million cups or 120 million pounds of butter, 5 million cups each of salt and sugar, which is 2.33 million pounds of sugar, 3 million pounds of salt, and around 6.5 million gallons of ice water. I do not know how you mix this.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to cut that butter in.
It
I
is.
Just went over how pies don't require a lot of flour, and then you say we need like millions. we need a lot of flour.
In a regular pie crust, you need like 2.5 cups of flour. which
guys,
is
guys, stop arguing. Get the fucking wishbone.
See, my rules work.
Yes, and a regular pie, it actually is not that much flour. You're just replacing a lot of it with butter, which is, sure, healthy. Why not? But yeah, I don't know how you mix this. It's probably not possible. Marcus is right. Cutting the butter in is going to suck.
just like an army of people.
Right, yeah. I definitely don't know how you bake it. Figure that one out. I don't know. It'll be fine. But say we have our pie crust. We need to fill it. I didn't go too in-depth on this because it's going to be a lot of the same math as the crust. The proportions are a little bit different because now we are dealing with volume. Once again, I don't have an exact volume of the Rose Bowl. I found a number of 20 million cubic feet that someone came to by some witchcraft. I don't know.
It's called math, Ben. It's what we do here.
Heresy. That's about 150 million gallons. The approximate volume of a standard pie dish is about a quarter of a gallon. So we're going to need, whatever we fill it with is going to be about 600 million times as much filling as a regular pie. Personally, I would go with a no-bake pie. Maybe like a coconut cream would be good.
I feel like coconuts are a good place to start because at least coconuts are like a bit bigger.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to like, if you're making a cherry pie, that's a lot of fucking cherries.
It is, yeah.
You could just keep throwing coconuts in there.
Yeah. Or like, several orchard of apples. Who knows? I don't know. It's not going to go well.
Watermelon pie.
Jesus.
Watermelon pie. Is that a thing? Must be.
God, I hope not.
I don't think so. Watermelons aren't watermelons
is.
like mostly just water? Like,
it would be nigh impossible
you'd have to reduce it.
Right. Yeah. You'd have to like
into
dehydrate your watermelon, which leaves not a lot.
Basically,
you just need a lot of watermelons.
Sugar. I feel like sugar and like it would not be good.
They have creamy watermelon pie. It was like mixed with cream.
I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, no, I don't like any of that.
Watermelon also doesn't have much flavor. Like that's pretty much just a cream pie that like tastes a little off.
I mean, they have watermelon flavored things.
But that's not actually what watermelons taste like.
True.
So, anyway, long story short, if you made a pie in the Rose Bowl, it would be very complicated and large, which I guess shouldn't be a surprise. But then, you could much more directly have pie while watching football, I guess, if they were, I guess, also playing a game in the pie. I don't know. I didn't think that part through.
Yeah, they can't play football anymore.
I mean, they could. It would be really awkward and they might drown.
That was a clip from Absurd Hypotheticals, the podcast where I answer dumb hypothetical questions. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.